Gold viewers and listeners from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC for Gold Learning. And here at Gold, our preparations for the upcoming Gold Lactation Online Conference of 2020 are in full swing. And the conference is just around the corner, starting March 30th. And before the conference, we always like to get together with our speakers so you, our listeners, can get to know them a little bit. And we'll talk about their work and the presentation, of course. And with me here today is Dr. Carlos González. Welcome, Dr. González.
Hello, how are you?
It is so wonderful to have you here. It's just wonderful to sit down with experts from all over the world. And Dr. Gonzalez, where are you located?
In Barcelona,
In
let's say
Barcelona.
that. Yes,
That's
next city to
wonderful.
Barcelona.
Great, great. So you are a pediatrician. And you're
Uh-huh.
also the founder and the president of the Catalan Association for Breastfeeding. So tell us a little bit about your work and how did you get excited about breastfeeding and started that association?
Oof, not easy to remember now. I when I was a medical student, um my textbook on pediatrics was the Nielsen textbook on pediatrics, and there it says that if you have any problem with breastfeeding, go to La Leche League.
Hmm.
And I was reading then the book translated into Spanish because, as you can see, my English is not so good, and at that moment my English was completely inexistent.
Hmm.
So I was reading the Spanish translation, but the Spanish translation said La leche leak. La leche is Spanish, but
Yeah.
leak is English, and I couldn't understand why they had not translated everything. So, Liga de la Leche. No,
Hmm.
La Leche leak. Why is half Spanish, half English? So I became interested in that question, and I effectively asked La Leche leak to give me more information many years ago.
And from that, you started the Catalan Association of Breastfeeding after, was that
Yeah,
how it got started?
yes, for friends, we started that to be able to make something, to make leaflets on breastfeeding and to make courses on breastfeeding for medical professionals and for nurses and
Mhm.
midwives. Hmm.
Great, wonderful. And tell me a little bit about breastfeeding in Spain. I assume that, I don't know, was there also a time, I assume now that many women in Spain are breastfeeding. Is that an assumption correct? Or do you see a lot of here in the United States, for example, we had a time, when there was a lot of formula feeding, and now we see, a little development. It's wonderful to see more families interested in breastfeeding. Again, there's a lot of educational efforts for that as well. But I assume in Spain, you probably are a little ahead of us with that, right? I mean, I assume that most women are breastfeeding, or is that assumption wrong?
Yes, I think in Spain, most women have been always breastfeeding.
Hmm.
So breastfeeding has always been the normal thing to do. But doctors used to say breastfeed 10 minutes each breast
Hmm.
for every 3 hours and sleep 8 hours at night and things like that. So most almost every woman started breastfeeding, but they were unable to breastfeed for more than 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh.
And breastfeeding for 2 months was heroic.
Hmm.
So, but fortunately, this has changed, and at this moment, uh, we have still many mothers who don't find the information and the help
Mm.
they need, and we have still many mothers breastfeeding for 2 weeks or breastfeeding for 2 months, but we have also many mothers breastfeeding for 2 years and more,
Hmm.
and they are mostly well-educated women, working women,
Hmm.
women with an university degree. They are the best informed, so they are breastfeeding and without so many problems.
Interesting, interesting. So there is also like education. It sounds like is important. So the more education is available to women, they do better with breastfeeding.
Yes, and 30 or 40 years ago was exactly the opposite.
Ah,
And probably it's the same thing in every country.
yeah.
So only Spain is not so industrialized, or didn't used to be so industrialized as the United States or the UK.
Hmm.
So we started later on, but you know how is it? The rich women don't breastfeed because they are rich,
Hmm.
and some years after that,
Hmm.
poor women no longer breastfeed because they want to be rich or they want
Right.
to seem rich. And
Hmm.
finally, rich women read books and they start breastfeeding again.
Hmm. That, yeah, that I think it is a development in that we have seen in many countries, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this. Right now, we are experiencing the the
Mhm.
coronavirus is, everywhere. Do you receive a lot of questions about breastfeeding, and the coronavirus? Do you get questions through your association, maybe that, or in your clinic, where women are wondering if I get, infected, can I still breastfeed?
No,
Mm.
there seem not to be any problem with that because fortunately the TV is telling us that there is no problem for babies, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Mm-hmm.
no baby has died of this coronavirus, and no child under 10 years has
Mm-hmm.
died all over the world, so no problem
Mm-hmm.
with that.
Okay. Well, that's good to know that women still feel confident in breastfeeding, and
Mm,
well, wonderful, wonderful. Now, you are also the author of several books, and
uh-huh.
tell us a little bit about that. You have some. I think one of them is called "My Child Won't Eat," and
Yeah.
right. And so, tell us a little bit about it. And I'm also interested in the book. I think you have one, something titled, a book titled "Kiss Me," and it's about parenting and a loving way to parent. So, tell us a little bit about your books that you
Okay.
authored.
Three of my books are translated into English,
Mm-hmm.
and My Child Won't Eat is about why children never eat so much or as much as their parents expect, and why
Mm-hmm.
this is normal, and why children shouldn't eat much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiss Me is, well, probably is the same thing in the United States. In Spain, people used to say, and still many people say, that you cannot uh, pick up your baby because he
Mm,
will
yeah.
become, he will never walk, and
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you cannot sleep with your baby because he will never sleep alone, and
Mhm.
you cannot mm, kiss your baby because your baby will become a serial killer and things like that. So I wanted to tell new mothers and new fathers that yes, you can kiss your baby, you can pick up your baby, you can sleep
Mhm.
with your baby,
Right.
and all babies grow up always, and all babies go away, and you should be happy while
Mhm.
can.
Right.
And the third one that is translated into English is breastfeeding made easy. Is a
Mhm.
book, a general book on breastfeeding for mothers. I have two books on breastfeeding, one for doctors and nurses and one
Mm.
for mothers. And the the one for doctors and nurses is small, and the one for mothers is big,
Mhm.
because the person who is really breastfeeding is the mother, so she
Right.
has to know more than the doctor.
That's a very good point. Yeah, the person who's breastfeeding should know more. They should be the expert on that. That's wonderful. Well, thank you for letting us know about your books. And you are the father of three children and a grandchild, and you have another one on the way, right?
Yeah,
That's exciting.
yeah, because being a grandfather is the real thing. So I I have always suspected that having children maybe someday will have a purpose. And yes, it is useful. It is useful to have babies for a reason, because they are the fathers of your grand uh, grandchildren.
All right. That's wonderful. Congratulations on that. Now let's talk about your presentation. Your presentation is titled Growth Charts, Use and Abuse. And I have to tell you, when I heard about that topic and I got a sneak peek on your presentation slides, I was so happy because I have to tell you, I just recently had a case, a client who had a beautiful home birth, healthy
Mhm,
baby, everything was perfect, and baby was latching wonderfully, was breastfeeding, good breastfeeding, like 30 minutes on continuous breastfeeding, and satisfied after breastfeeding, good latch. The mother worked with an IBCLC, and everything was was happy, a happy baby, all signs were good. But then on the growth chart, the baby was very low, very low on the growth chart, and the mother, of course, so the parents were very concerned and very
mm,
worried, right? But the baby had no other signs. It wasn't lethargic. It was had lots of wet diapers and soiled diapers, good nursing sessions, good latch, everything was good. And but I have to say the pediatrician was good. She was not concerned. She was saying the baby looks good, everything is good. Now, if it had been with maybe another pediatrician, the
mm,
pediatrician would have said, oh, you need to give formula, you need to supplement. The baby is just so low on the chart, right? But then, this pediatrician was very understanding, looked at the latch, looked at how baby looked, and the mother continued breastfeeding, and now the baby is a happy, healthy 6-month-old baby, or nothing is wrong with the baby. So when I saw that, but there was a lot of worry for the parents when they saw the baby was low on the chart. And
mm.
when I saw that you're presenting on this, I was thinking, oh, this is so relevant. This is so important. So tell us a little bit about your presentation.
Well, what can I say? Uh, growth charts are very dangerous.
Hmm.
And I remember there was a Cochrane, uh, what's the name?
Cochrane Review.
Exactly, a Cochrane review about growth charts.
Hmm.
Maybe you remember several years ago. And the conclusion was there is no evidence that regularly waving the baby's waving.
Hmm.
How do you say that?
The baby is what? Could you repeat that, please?
To control the weight of the
Oh.
baby regularly
Hmm.
is no there is no evidence that this improve survival or improve the health of the babies.
Hmm. Hmm.
But we will continue to do that,
Yeah.
because if you don't do that, moms say, I went to the pediatrician and he didn't even weighted the baby.
Weigh the baby. Yes. Hmm. Hmm.
So we have to do that. And the problem is doing that without causing harm, as
Hmm.
we cause harm when we recommend a formula that was not needed, and
Hmm.
when we make parents afraid of a problem that when there is no problem, and
Yeah.
so on. So I see many people afraid of with charts, afraid of the
Hmm.
scale.
Hmm. Yeah.
And mothers in Spain, many mothers go to the pediatrician once a month, at least for the first year.
Hmm.
that's too much, but they do that, and but they are not happy about that. They say, uh, tomorrow I have to go to the pediatrician, and I know he will say everything is bad, and I know I will cry, and I
Mm.
say, then why are you going to the pediatrician? I don't understand.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it is difficult because you know that mothers, that's probably the expectation they have learned, or that was taught to them, that you go to the pediatrician and these charts, are right. So it is kind of an unlearning, right? An unlearning required for that, and
Yes,
and
it's an examination.
yeah, yeah,
You have
yeah.
to pass the examination to be an approved child.
Yeah. Well, I'm very much looking forward to this presentation. And to our listeners, I want to also add that we have included growth charts in your handouts. These are the World Health Organization, standard charts. So
Mhm.
during the presentation, they will have these charts as well that they could look at and follow along as well.
And I understand that they are used now usually in the United States. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. They
So,
are. They
so
are. They
you
are.
are no longer using the all North American charts. You are
The we
using the
I
Euro
think
chart.
that the charts by the CDC have been eh, from what I believe have been adjusted to the charts by the World Health Organization
Uh-huh.
as well.
Well, but
But
the problem really is not which charts are they using, because
yeah,
they are quite similar. The
yes,
problem is how they are using them.
exactly. Yes, yes, exactly.
and
Absolutely.
some people is unable to understand that the half population is under the mean.
Yeah.
This
And,
is
and that is new information. I mean, that is probably information that is just not known to most people,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
And
I explain sometimes that you can have percentiles. I think you in the States you use more uh, standard
per,
deviations,
mm,
one, two standard deviations. We prefer to use percentiles in
percentiles.
Europe usually. And I tell people that you can make percentiles not only about weight or height, you can also make percentiles on every measure that goes on a scale.
Hmm.
So you can make percentiles of money, and you can say how much is the average salary in the States.
Hmm.
I don't know, $2,000, $1,500. Don't know.
Yeah.
But if I am earning $4,000 and you are unemployed, the average
Sure.
don't tell you how much you have or how much I have. So the average is only and half of the people is under the average earnings in the United States.
Mm.
And you can also make percentiles of intelligence.
Huh. Interesting.
And half the pediatricians are under the mean intelligence for pediatricians. And, and 3% of them are under the third percentile of intelligence for pediatricians. So we don't know if the mean intelligence for pediatricians is higher or lower than the mean intelligence for other people, but
Mm.
there is an average intelligence for pediatricians, and half of them are under that.
Yeah. So that brings back the point that these charts are really not that useful, or can be also scary and scaring people and used in the wrong way, to scare parents into giving formula.
Yeah,
Hmm.
or simply to scare them into being scared.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's,
that is
yeah,
a good point. Yeah, it's a
you
good
don't
point.
you don't
Yes.
not even need to give the baby formula, because many parents are scared at 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, ten
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
until you are a grow up. When you are a grow up,
Mm,
you don't have to worry about that. You can
yeah.
be high, you can be small, but you have not to worry about percentile, and you don't know which is your percentile.
Right. Correct. Absolutely.
You have one, but you don't know, because the doctors that family doctors and adult doctors are not worried about that. So you are high, you are small, no problem.
Yeah. That.
But with
Yeah.
babies, they have to be, all of them have to be exactly the
Yeah.
the average baby.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right about that. Yeah. Later on in life, nobody is so concerned about if how tall or a person is. That it doesn't matter. Yeah. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well,
Hmm.
thank you so much, Dr. Gonzalez, for spending time here with me, and we are looking very much forward to the presentation.
Okay, I am looking for finishing it.
Thank you. And to our listeners now, the presentation growth charts use and abuse will be live on April 7th of 2020. And this presentation is part of the Gold Lactation Online Conference of 2020. We have over 30 expert speakers. We have over 28 hours of accredited education. And this year, we also have added workshops, panels, and Ask the Expert and case studies to make it a fully interactive experience for you. So if you want to find out more about this presentation on growth charts, but also on the other presentations in the conference, so we would like to invite you to visit goldlactation.com. Thank you, everyone, for listening here, and we hope to see you at the conference. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye bye.